Okay, so hello and welcome. This is Dustin Guinee, and you've reached Open Minds, Open Hearts. And this is session 29, Stress Less Through Breath. And I think this is something that is at the very heart of meditation. It's almost become a bit cliche at this point that meditation and breath can help you de-stress, but this is the foundation of this practice. And we all experience different levels of stress in our lives, whether it's acute or chronic or physically manifested or mental. All these things are connected, and we're all experiencing different levels of stress. So we're going to get into some breathing techniques, kind of going back to basics here. So if you're new to meditation, this is a great session. But if you've practiced meditation before, again, a lot of this information is so valuable and foundational that it never hurts to continue practicing these exercises. And I myself continue to learn things about the breath every day almost. So it's kind of endless how much you could really learn about how powerful breathing techniques are for de-stressing. So we'll get into that in a minute. But first, in case you missed the last session, session 28, laughter is the best medicine. That was a lot of fun. We did some laughter meditation, laughter yoga. I was cracking myself up. I think folks that joined in also had some good laughs, and it was very therapeutic. And so if you missed that session, you can find it on my website, openmindsopenhearts.org. There you can find the YouTube video, which I highly recommend because you can see me being goofy and laughing, which hopefully will help you laugh. You can also catch the audio version too on my podcast, which is available on pretty much any channel you stream podcasts. Also, these sessions are free, but if you'd like to donate, you can go to openmindsopenhearts.org/donate. And donates via Venmo, PayPal, always appreciated as it keeps all these various technologies running and keeps the show on the road. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and share my screen for those that are experiencing the visual portion here. Stress less with breath. We all could de-stress a little bit more in our lives. I do have a day job, which sometimes also becomes my night job, which means long hours, which means stress, and being a parent of 2 kids on top of that, trying to balance the work-life balance when things don't feel balanced at all. You feel that stress just ratchet up. Right. As your body becomes tired, as you get hungry, you start to feel that limbic system start to kick in, that fight, flight, or freeze, that hangriness, whatever you want to call it. That is the stress response, right? That's the moment that the cortisol starts leaving the brain and coursing through our body. So the power of breath to mitigate that, it cannot be underestimated. It is the foundation of all meditation. And there's not just the traditional meditation practice, but there's a bunch of new breathing techniques that allow us to fall deeper into calm, peace, and relaxation, which we're going to get into. So let's go ahead and begin. So we're going to set an intention, read some inspired writings. We'll talk a little bit about the science behind breath, particularly nose breathing, which is pretty fascinating. And then we'll get into a guided meditation on de-stressing through the breath. So let's go ahead and set an intention for today's session. Some intentions could be, my intention is to lower stress and anxiety. My intention is to increase feelings of calm and peace in my life. My intention is to reconnect with my body and breath in a more mindful way. So take a moment to reflect on your intention for today's session and beyond. Your intention for de-stressing your day, de-stressing your week, de-stressing your life. And usually what comes to mind first is the right path. So let's go with that. So, a few inspired writings around de-stressing that I wanted to share with you. The first one comes from Andrew Bernstein, who's an American philosopher. And he says, the truth is that stress doesn't come from your boss, your kids, your spouse, traffic jams, health challenges, or other circumstances. It comes from your thoughts about your circumstances. So I just love how practical and simple that statement is, and yet wise. It comes from your thoughts about your circumstances, right? So we've talked a lot about this in previous classes, how we respond to situations is the deciding factor in our emotional well-being, right? Do we respond with anger? Do we respond with stress? Or are we able to take a step back and before going into the reactive mode, take a deep breath and count to 4. As a popular kid song, Daniel Tiger says, take a deep breath and count to 4. Right? Sometimes we need to just take a step back, take a deep breath, because if we start to reframe the situation that we're in, perhaps it's not as bad as we think, or perhaps it isn't that great. Perhaps it is bad. But rather than overreacting, if we can start to calm down a little bit, it won't feel as terrible, right? So John Kabat-Zinn, really kind of the godfather of American meditation, and the connection between Western medicine and meditation. John Kabat-Zinn says, to let go means to give up coercing, resisting, or struggling in exchange for something more powerful and wholesome, which comes out of allowing things to be as they are without getting caught up in your attraction to or rejection of them, in the intrinsic stickiness of wanting, of liking, and disliking. So that's a really kind of profound way to say that it's really our preferences, our wanting, our liking, our disliking. It's really all those struggles are coming from the mind, right? All this suffering is being generated by our thoughts and how we're perceiving situations to be, right? Now, sometimes there's just certain situations where it's really hard to perceive it as nothing but a suffering moment, right? But maybe there's other situations, like I'm thinking of physical fitness, for example. For some people, running is complete suffering, right? For other people, they love it. I'm part of the love it category. I love running. But it's taking time to enjoy that subtle suffering that comes on a long run, that comes from running up a hill, right? I've learned to enjoy that suffering, not in like a masochistic way, but more of like I feel alive, right? Through the burning sensation of my legs running up the hill, I feel alive. I feel my blood pumping. I feel my lungs at work. And now that I'm breathing through my nose more consistently, my oxygen is working better too, because I'm not breathing through my mouth, right? So there's growth in the suffering, there's growth in the challenge. So if we can start to kind of reframe that, wow, life really starts to have a different tone to it. And then finally, an old Zen saying, it says, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day. Unless you're too busy, then you should sit for an hour. I just love that so much. Not only because the old Zen saying has a bit of humor to it, but it's really true, right? And how often do we say, oh, I'm too busy to meditate. I'm too busy to work out. I'm too busy to eat healthy. I'm too busy to take care of my health. I'm too busy to take care of my relationships, right? We're too busy to take care of our own personal health or kind of the health of the relationships around us, right? But where are we investing our time? In work, in entertainment, TV, in screens, right? So our priorities are all mixed up, right? So when you're too busy for meditation, that's when you do need the full hour rather than the 20 minutes, right? Because it's saying like your priorities are out of line. So once you start making your mental, physical, spiritual health your priority, then you don't need the full hour of meditation. Maybe you just need a few minutes a day just to kind of realign, get connected, and then go about your day. So I love that. All right. So a little bit about some science. I always love talking about science, especially around meditation and the breath. We're talking about the breath. So now, okay, so there's this method called the 365 method. And that's basically just a fancy way of saying that we should be breathing about 6 breaths per minute. Or, in other words, 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. And so there's been a lot of science around this because the average breath is 14 to 20 breaths per minute. That's the average person, which is a lot of breaths. So the body's like really kind of working hard. And when you're breathing at a higher rapid rate, you're already starting to go into more of a stress response. So when we talk about things like the autonomic nervous system, we basically have the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight, flight, or freeze part. So that's where all the stress is coming from, right? Like that's turning up our heart rate. It's turning up our blood pressure. The muscles get tense. We start to sweat. That's all part of the sympathetic nervous system, right? And then the parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic was back in the caveman days, running away from the saber-toothed tiger. Parasympathetic is the rest and restore. So now we got away from the saber-toothed tiger, and now we're cooking up some food at the fire, relaxing, right? Like so slowing down the breath gets us to that relaxation state, right? It literally changes our physical chemistry so that now we're not pumping out cortisol, stress hormones. Now we're starting to calm. We're getting more mental clarity. We're moving from amygdala thinking to prefrontal cortex thinking, more logical, rational, compassionate, empathetic. All of these things start to happen as we slow down the breath. So I can't emphasize how critical that is to start, not just in today's class, but in your everyday life. Start to pay attention to how long you inhale and how long you exhale for. And you'll start to notice when you're stressed out, your breath is a lot more shallow. And if you just get mindful of that in those moments and you start to slow down your breath, you'll be amazed because you literally will start to change your mood by slowing down your breath. This isn't some woo-woo. This is hard science, which is exciting. Because in a way, it's so simple. we just have to have the mindfulness in those moments of stress and anxiety to say, oh, okay, let me take a step back. Let me slow down my breathing. Let me reassess. Let me refocus. Right. And interestingly enough, some researchers at the University of London actually found that including a sigh or an ah on your exhale, it actually there's a psychological and physiological reset that happens when you do a sigh, just a right. So that's something to keep in mind too, especially if you're doing a meditation. If you want to have a few sighs in there, that actually helps with relaxation. Also an Om can be effective there too, which we'll get into that a little bit later. I wanted to talk to you guys about breathing through the nose. I recently read this book called Breath by James Nestor. And he went into a deep dive around the benefits of breathing through the nose. And I wanted to share some of those insights with you guys today. So number one, the purpose of the nose is to support the respiratory system, right? To support the lungs and the delivery of oxygen and the exhaling of carbon dioxide, right? Like that is the purpose of the nose. The purpose of the mouth is largely for digestive purposes. And I'm showing this diagram, a medical diagram of the nasal cavity versus the mouth cavity. Okay. And if you can see this diagram, you may notice the nasal cavity is very large inside of the skull. And the reason for that is there's all these different tubes in which, as we breathe in air, we have our nostrils are clearing out and filtering allergens from the body. And as that air is moving through the nasal cavity, it's also getting warmed up so that by the time that oxygen hits the lungs, it's kind of been prepared perfectly for the lungs versus going through the mouth where you're not getting the nostril cleaning out the toxins. The mouth is not as effective at warming up the air. So you're kind of getting a cruder version of air if you're breathing in through the mouth. If you're breathing in through the nose, you're getting a refined version of oxygen that the lungs are then able to deliver that oxygen more effectively to the rest of the body. So basically the nasal breathing, it releases nitric oxide, which is necessary to increase carbon dioxide in the blood, which in turn is what releases the oxygen. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic that when we have increased carbon dioxide, it's actually releasing more oxygen in our blood. And so what does that mean? So if our blood is more oxygen rich, and we're able to do that through breathing, which is more efficient and effective than the mouth breathing, that means that our whole system is utilizing oxygen in a far more efficient way. And that really matters, especially if you're doing physical exercise. So I mentioned running. There's actually a study with runners in which runners were tested breathing in through the nose versus breathing in through the mouth. And the athletic gains for breathing in through the nose were fairly significant. And so basically what happens is you lower your breath rate by breathing in through the nose. So you're taking in less breaths, but you're actually getting the same level of oxygen as if you were breathing in through the mouth. But breathing in through the mouth, you're having to do a lot more work to get that air in. And then, like I said, it's not as effective as the nose. So you can actually improve your athletic performance simply by inhaling through the nose and then exhaling either through the mouth or exhaling through the nose. And the main thing is the inhale through the nose. So I was so excited about this. I learned about this probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've been implementing this on my running. I'm training for a triathlon right now, so I'm doing cycling and running. And I can certainly tell you, I haven't gotten faster, but I've definitely been able to go longer and harder at a consistent speed, and feel relaxed at the end of a very intense workout, like 22 miles on the bike, followed by a 3 mile run all uphill. So these are like intense, like, almost 2 hour workouts, basically, that I don't finish feeling exhausted, because I've been doing this nose breathing. So, definitely couldn't speak more highly of breathing in through the nose. And finally, how does this all relate to meditation, mindfulness? Well, we've talked about Jon Kabat-Zinn before. If you're not familiar with him, you got to check him out. He's got so many great resources. If you use Masterclass, he has a Masterclass, which is phenomenal. If you're into books, Full Catastrophe Living is kind of his classic. You can get the audio version, which is great because he reads it himself. But really, I mean, he is the godfather behind tying Western medicine to meditation and mindfulness. He's developed the mindfulness-based stress reduction program, MBSR, that has been scientifically proven to reduce stress and anxiety, because he's done actual scientific studies around these practices. So he's been able to prove that mindfulness, meditation, some yoga movements have all contributed to lower stress, anxiety, increased feelings of calm, peace, self-compassion, self-awareness. It could treat disorders such as eating disorders, psychiatric conditions, pain management, sleep disorders, even cancer care, and some of these more deadly diseases. So really, really powerful stuff. If you haven't checked out Jon Kabat-Zinn, please check him out. Great. So hope that was helpful. And with that, let's go ahead and get into our meditation. Let's begin. Greetings. This is Dustin Guinee, and today I will be leading you through a stress reduction meditation using the breath, and specifically some breathing exercises that have been scientifically proven to lower stress and anxiety. So we'll get into some of those exercises in a moment, but really, these exercises and meditation as a whole is all about connecting to the breath. The breath is our anchor, and it is one of the first techniques that you learn, and it becomes a lifelong pursuit to tap in with greater awareness to the breath. Because the breath connects us to life. It connects us to the inhale and the exhale. So as we do these exercises today, I'd like to encourage you to breathe in through your nose, as it has been shown scientifically that this is the most effective way to breathe, is breathing in through the nostrils and then exhaling either through the mouth or the nostrils. The exhale through the nose or mouth is okay, but the inhale through the nose is optimum. So let us remember that as we start to begin. And I'd like us to begin by becoming aware of our natural breathing, the natural rhythm of our breath. This is one of the first techniques of pranayama to bring greater awareness to our breathing. So this is basic breath awareness. So notice the way that the air feels as you inhale. Inhaling through the nose. Is your breath slow and calm? Is it rushed? You may feel your diaphragm or belly start to rise as you inhale. You can even put a hand on your belly. And then as you exhale, exhaling through the mouth or the nose, feel the diaphragm condense, sink in. Feel the belly button coming back to the spine. Feeling we're breathing from the lower diaphragm to get these nice deep breaths. If you're breathing kind of from the chest, upper chest, you're probably doing more of a shallow breath. So here we're doing a deeper belly breath from the diaphragm. And just bringing some mindful awareness to the natural rhythm of our breath. Tapping into how the body feels. You know, if you feel any tension, feel free to do a few shoulder rolls if you'd like. You can always move your head from side to side. We're really just easing into the practice, easing into breath awareness and body awareness. Carry a lot of tension and stress in our shoulders. So we may just want to, roll those shoulders a little bit or move our head from side to side, just kind of working out any kinks as we settle into deeper calm and peace. So this first exercise is called the 365 method. And that's a fancy way of saying that we're going to do 6 breaths per minute, which is essentially a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. And many therapists and medical people, health industry people have come to recognize that this is the optimum cadence for our breath, a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. It's a much slower breath than what we're accustomed to doing. And we're going to practice it today, but I highly encourage you to practice it outside of the session, as it does bring greater health benefits to you. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So we're going to start with a deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Slipping deeper into relaxation and calm. Becoming aware of slowing down the breath. Allowing our stresses and anxieties to melt away. So this next technique is called box breathing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for 4 seconds. We're going to hold the breath for 4 seconds. We're going to exhale for 4 seconds. And then we're going to hold again after the exhale for 4 seconds. Now, holding after the exhale can often be a little strange at first because you may feel like you're partially suffocating. I can assure you, you're not suffocating. Your body has plenty of oxygen to go off of for 4 seconds. So it may be a little tricky at first, but I encourage you to, if you don't get it the first time, try it on the next time around. And I think you'll find as you do this, it really helps slip deeper into that state of relaxation. So let's give it a try. So deep breath in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. In through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Release, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In. So just using these exercises to bring a different rhythm to the breath. These holds really start to also help us with our diaphragm strength. So I'd like us to do another box breathing technique. We're going to extend it a little bit longer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds, exhale for 9 seconds, and then do another hold after the exhale for 4 seconds. So a longer hold for 7, and then a longer exhale for 9. And on that exhale, just let the air out nice and slow. And as you do this, you could also put a hand over the belly and another hand over the heart. So we really want to be mindful of filling up the diaphragm as we do this nice deep hold on the breath, okay? So let's give it a try. So deep breath in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. Release, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. Release, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Really slowing down the breath with these box breathing exercises, building up lung capacity, building up diaphragm strength. We're feeling the whole respiratory system at work for our benefit, delivering the oxygen of life to our vital organs, giving thanks and gratitude that we're able to breathe and sustain life through this breath. The last exercise we'll do is an OM chant. And OM, usually spelled O-M. When we do OM, we actually pronounce it as an A-U-M. So what we do is we actually do an ah, oo, and then a And when we do the we do it with mouth closed, kind of with our lips. So it's a nice progression. So I'll give you an example. So, so a nice progression of the ah, oo, Okay, so let's go ahead and do a few rounds of Om together. So deep breath in. Deep breath in. Inhale. Allowing ourselves to fall deeper into relaxation, slowing down the breath, connecting with the body. These breathing techniques are available to us at any time, especially when we're feeling stress or anxiety in our daily life. Just remember, take a deep breath. Come back, connect to the body and the breath, and start to slow down the breath. Remember that 365 method. 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Because in today's busy modern life, we're always racing around. But how often do we stop and smell the roses? How often are we present in this moment? So, in that spirit, I'd like to share a poem that I've written, a bit of an adaptation from the classic Aesop fable, The Tortoise and the Hare. I've written a poem inspired by that tale of what happened after the race as these two, the tortoise and the hare, grew older. So, this poem is called Racing Through Life. Most know the tale of the tortoise and the hare, but what happened after the race, many are unaware. The hare was filled with pride, so Tortoise challenged him to a race. How could Tortoise win? For he could not keep up the pace. But the arrogance of the hare in his overwhelming lead caused him to take rest surely he'd still succeed. Yet the tortoise advanced, slow and steady. Passing the resting hare, he was not ready. The hubris of the hare blinded him to see. The determination of the tortoise made him the winner to be. Tortoise's willpower was celebrated far and wide. While the hare's ego was shattered, he had to run and hide. The hare promised himself he would never lose again. He worked harder and faster. His race would never end. While the hare raced through life, Tortoise took life nice and slow, breathing in the moment wherever he would go. Once neighbors, but now estranged, they each went their separate ways, both working and raising families until their later days. Then one day they met in the autumn of their years, both grandparents now, both had laughs and tears. The tortoise had many laughs, while the hare had many tears. The tortoise had hardly aged, while the hare was hardened by fear. "It's really good to see you," said the tortoise to the hare. "How have you been?" Tortoise said with loving care. But the hare could not share his dark and shameful truth, that he had relentlessly raced through life and wasted away his youth. He became so obsessed with winning that his whole life passed him by. A conquest to be the best now left him welling up to cry. The tortoise read the pain and torment in his eyes. His former foe had revealed the soul behind his disguise. The tortoise embraced the hare. "I forgive you for the past," as the hare bursted into tears. Then later, they shared a laugh. "I can't tell you how long I've hated you for beating me that day, but really I hated myself, so I never stopped running away. I've been running my whole life, through the best and the worst, running away from the hurt, so I'd always end up first. But my obsession for success caused me to lose it all. My wife and kids don't speak to me. Grandkids don't even call. I spent so much time trying to be the best that I've sacrificed the best of all. The love and care of family, my pride was my downfall." The tortoise took a moment to take in the tale from his friend. Leave your troubles behind you. It's never too late to begin again. The two parted ways, but the hare had a change of heart. He realized he could make things right and get a fresh start. He stopped the racing around and savored each moment. He didn't speed right through it. He didn't try to hold it. The forgiveness from his former foe released him from his prison. Reuniting with his family, a new perspective he was given. So goes the tale of the tortoise and the hare, an ending most have never heard and many are unaware. My friend, don't wait till the end of your days to stop and smell the roses. There is a better way. Be in the moment. Don't let it pass you by. It's the journey, not the destination, to live before you die. No need to be first. No need to race. When taking in each moment with a pace of grace. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.